Good morning, good afternoon, or good evening, whatever time it is that you're joining me for this video. Thank you once again for clicking on the PenBoyRoy Fountain Pen Review channel. The subject of today's video is the Montegrappa Monte Grappa Dromgoole's exclusive Tuscany Forest. The Monte Grappa brand was established in the year 1912. At the time, it was called Elmo Montegrappa. They were a successful pen company up until two major world events. The first one was the Second World War, which was responsible for the depletion of the brand's natural raw materials, forcing them to make nibs out of glass. The second event was the insidious invasion of the ballpoint pen, severely impacting the sales of Monte Grappa. It was by far the darkest time for the company, resulting in shareholders looking to dump the company. Fortunately, it was at this time that the Aquila family came along and bought the brand. It was this family that was able to keep the Monte Grappa brand from disappearing into obscurity. Much later, in the year 2001, the Richemont Group, owners of the Mont Blanc brand, as well as several other high-end brands, bought the Monte Grappa brand, only to have the Aquila family reacquire it back in the year 2007. This year, Monte Grappa released a new vintage-inspired pen featuring a patented ratchet-filling piston mechanism. It's designed to give the user an even more tactile feel to an already analog instrument while utilizing metals not often found in traditional piston fillers to ensure the user against overturning of the piston, thus causing damage to the pen. The pen featured today will be the Dromgoole's exclusive Montegrappa Monte Grappa Tuscany Forest. Who, what, where, why is Dromgoole? Well, in the year 1961, Louis and Jean Dromgoole had a shop that dealt in typewriters and calculators. They were doing really well, and they had 5 different locations. One day, in 1988, a dude named Larry, grandson to Louis and son of Jean, bought one of the locations. He decided to dedicate his new store to pens and stationery. Good call, Larry. His store was located right near a hospital, which was really helpful to Larry's business. Why? Because what better way to show off you're a smart doctor person than to have a fine pen with which to write quickly and illegibly? His clientele would request special orders. As time went on, this would lead to a network of manufacturers and distributors that to this day, Dromgoole uses to fill his store with the wonderful writing instruments we know and love. At first, he started small, selling cross pens. As time went on, he began to carry other more luxurious brands, such as the very well-known Mont Blanc brand. Come the early 90s, he began to sell the Monte Grappa brand, and there were many more to come in the following years. In the years that have since passed, Dromgooles have become a haven for the fountain pen virus infected, with countless hangouts, pen meets, and events taking place each year, featuring fountain pen names such as Brad Dowdy of the Pen Addict and the great pen maker David Oscarson, just to name a few. They are what can best be described as the Cheers bar of fountain pens, as they see on a regular basis growing numbers of fountain pen virus infected individuals showing up just to hang out and chat about pens and inks with other customers. It's become such a welcome occurrence that Larry even has stools set up throughout the store for the comfort of his visitors. As the business grew, Larry realized he needed more help. This was an easy fix, as his own son, Michael, 23 years of age, fresh out of college with a degree in smart people stuff, was willing, ready, and fully infected with the fountain pen virus, stepped up and entered full-time into this wonderful family business. It was at about this time the Dromgooles decided to venture on a path to expand the association of the venerable Monte Grappa brand, not just with that of a fine Italian pen, but with a strong statement stating loud and clear, the savage fountain pen lovers of the world kick ass! The designer? Our new buddy, Mikey. This pen is limited to 50 pieces worldwide and sold exclusively out of Dromgoole's in Houston, Texas. That's all I have for the background information. Moving on to the neutral zone. Those elements about the pen that are neither good or bad, or can be good or bad depending on you. Our nib is a number 6 stainless steel Jowo nib with the Monte Grappa logo patterned on the majority of the face of the nib with the brand name Monte Grappa and Italia stamped under the breather hole. By the base of the nib is an M indicating that this is a medium nib. The feed is a standard Jowo feed found in many of the pens that utilize Jowo nibs. The nib and feed are housed in the standard JoWo housing that screws into the grip section. The grip section is an olive-colored resin that has a moderate taper to a metal flared collar. The threads on the grip are the single metal threads often seen on Monte Grappa pens. Following the threads is a very slight step where the acrylic body begins. The body is a colorful tortoise cracked flaked acrylic with a bulged design that tapers towards the end of the pen. At center mass of the acrylic, the name Dromgoole is laser engraved. In the standard edition, this is where the Monte Grappa stamping would normally be located. At the end of the flaked acrylic, there is a metal ring that separates the piston knob from the body and reads, "Made in Italy," with lettering laser engraved. The piston knob is the same olive green resin seen in the grip section and has a slight taper coming to a flat end bearing a metal disc that has the number out of 50 engraved in the center. On the standard colors of the Monte Grappa, the metal disc at the end of the piston knob is simply plain. The body of the cap is again the olive green resin used in the grip and piston knob. The finial is the standard Monte Grappa 1912 relief style disc, paying homage to the year the brand started. The clip is a rounded, winged style, vintage-looking clip with a strong clip tension. The clip is a single tension fixed piece that inserts into the body of the cap. At the end of the clip is a small metal wheel ball, placed there to assist in clipping the clip over clothing. The center band is a thin center band, measuring approximately 1 millimeter in height, bearing what looks like a bunch of horseshoes running around the span of the center band. Maybe they just like ponies. Above the center band is the Monte Grappa name laser engraved in script. On the standard Monte Grappa, this laser engraving is not present above the center band. The pen was packaged in a navy blue thin cardboard sleeve. Slide that off and you have a matte textured sturdy shoebox style cardboard box with the Monte Grappa logo. Lifting the lid reveals a drawbridge style side to the box, enabling easier access to the sturdy clamshell box inside. The clamshell box opens up to reveal the pen resting inside a plastic Ziploc pen body bag atop a soft bedding. Lift up that bedding and you have a secret compartment with a Monte Grappa information booklet waiting to be discovered. That's all I have for the neutral zone. Moving on to the good. Those elements about the pen that are good. There is much to like about this pen when it comes to the writing experience. It's all the good things we've come to know and love when it comes to a JoWo nib. It's satisfyingly smooth, with a quality of feedback that makes the writing experience feel unique and sophisticated. It's moderately wet, yet not out of control. The ink flow is consistent and never presents any issues. The tuning is well done. There's no skips or baby's bottom. It just works, and it works very well. It's the common tale of the JoWo nib. So let me talk about the writing experience that isn't so much about the nib, but more so in how the body, the weight, and the balance affects the writing experience. Although this pen is on the heavier and girthier side, I found that the balance posted or unposted is fantastic. It's not at all tiring after long writing sessions, nor does the grip section become slippery or difficult to grip. The shape of the grip is concave to the degree that it makes holding and writing just feel right. That goes for both high grippers and low grippers alike. No matter the type of grip you have, you're more than likely to encounter the threads on the pen. But don't worry, they're not at all uncomfortable or sharp. I really enjoy writing with this pen. Oftentimes, I spend time writing with a pen for a week or two for the sake of experiencing it for a review. There are times where I am using a pen that is the subject of the next review to come and find myself wanting to turn to another pen, but stay with the subject pen in question to soak in as much of the pen as possible. In the case of this pen, I found myself wanting to stay with this pen without the temptation of other pens calling my attention. This is due to the way it writes in both the nib and the balance. Top that off with looks that sends my brain into a heightened state of euphoria. I had me a winner. Looking at the acrylic, there is a visible depth and density to the acrylic that shifts with the movement as the light reflects on and through the different shades of color of the flecks. On top of that, it's polished with such diligence that the sheen is comparable to that of highly polished granite. It's also a very solid and sturdy pen in the hand. It leans a touch towards the heavier side, with the material feeling both dense and hard. Everything about it is precise. The cap, the clip, and the engraving always line up no matter the orientation when screwing the cap onto the body. Uncapped, the nib lines up with the logo as well. That's all I have for the good. Moving on to the bad. Let's talk coin. This pen has an MSRP of $395, and due to stipulations with the manufacturer, the distributor, and the retailers, the availability of an advertised discount is forbidden. But that's not to say there isn't one. In my experience, even in a controlled market, it would be typical for retailers to offer a discount of up to 20%, bringing the cost down to $316. The catch is you wouldn't be able to order the product online since checkouts with online retailers won't usually generate a discount. In these cases, the best thing to do would be to speak to a human by calling the retailer on the telephone and ordering what you want. I'm sure you wouldn't have to push too hard. But even if that's the case, the price you pay is still a lot of money for a pen with a steel nib. It makes one wonder, where is it that the cost is absorbed? Is it in the patented ratchet piston filling mechanism? Is that a mere gimmick, or is it actually an innovative solution to an existing legitimate issue of damaging pens due to overturning of pistons? If it is really a solution to overturning pistons, the question then becomes, is it worth paying for you if you are the type of person that never encountered this issue? Are the other qualities besides the ratchet piston filling mechanism, such as the body and design, the limited number and collectability, selling points for you? Those are questions that need answering, because this pen is not cheap, and the cost of this pen sits in the range of grail status for many. That's all I have for the bad. Moving on to the ugly. Those elements about the pen that should not be, but are. With regard to the build quality and quality control, everything on this pen is precise. It's quality, it's solid with attention paid to every aspect from top to bottom. Nowhere was I able to find a flaw that would make having to part with this pen any easier. It is quality control and precision hand craftsmanship at its finest. There is a gripe, however, and that is in the ink capacity. For a pen with this size and girth, I was surprised to clock the ink capacity at just over 0.5 milliliter. Just to put that into perspective, that's about as much as a standard international converter. Now, being that the weight and density was something that is very appealing, it's forgivable, and at least to me, not a deal breaker. But I think that for some, it may be, and therefore worth mentioning. It's high noon, decision-making time. Should you or should you not pull the trigger on the Monte Grappa Tuscany Forest Dromgoole's exclusive? Let's say you call up Dromgoole's, and the good folks there decide to discount the price down by 20%, bringing the cost down to $316. The question then becomes whether the value is worth the cost. Does the ratchet piston filling mechanism do it for you? Will you find that you are safer from destroying your pen by overturning your piston knob with this safeguard in place? If the answer is yes, allow me to give you some free advice that will save you some headaches. If it stops turning, don't keep turning it. If you do, you will break it. It's kind of like your head. If it stops turning, it's usually because it's not supposed to turn anymore, and if you keep turning your head with force after it stops turning, you will break your neck. Same applies with piston knobs. If it stops turning, just like your head, stop turning it. Going back, the overall experience of this pen, not just in the filling mechanism, but in the quality, precision, craftsmanship, and writing experience, is one of a kind. That's without considering the fact that they are limited to 50 pens. The color of this exclusive is also one of a kind, and if you like the way this pen looks over the standard colors, then pull the trigger on this pen. Monte Grappa is a luxury brand, and as with all things luxury, you pay more for luxury. At least in the case of this pen, the performance and overall experience of the pen offers compensatory, if not more value than the luxury offered. Oh yeah, if you call them up to order this pen and mention PenBoyRoy, they will throw in a free 30 milliliter bottle of Monteverde ink. That's what I was told. I don't make a dime off of this, don't worry. That was my review on the Monte Grappa Tuscany Forest Dromgoole's exclusive. I hope you found it useful. Thank you guys again for the love and support, and thanks for watching. Love you guys. Be well, be safe.